Hey guys, welcome to day 3 of 13 days of Halloween. Today I am doing a little bit of an assemblage piece. I have this, I think it's supposed to be like a name tag, like place card holder. I got it from the dollar spot at Michael's. It was actually $2. And I think that black part there is supposed to be like chalkboard. But I'm just going to cover the whole thing with some Liquitex Basics Mars Black paint. And then while that's drying, I'm going to also cover these cutout pieces with the black paint as well. I don't end up using the witch. And these are just cutouts for my Cricut. When I want something specific to cut out on my Cricut, I search, for example, free creepy Halloween house SVG. And then a whole bunch comes up. So I was able to get both of these for free, which big fan. Okay, so now I'm gonna put a little washi tape around my edges just to snazz it up a little. This is the Tim Holtz Halloween design tape. And I'm just gonna stick it down and then make my edges like wrapping paper, kind of like, you know how you do the edges of the wrapping paper. And I literally just finished this, and I have other videos that were supposed to go up before this, but I was so excited about this project that I had to put it in the mix now, and that's why it's like a little later than it should be, but I was just so excited about it. So I'm just gonna wrap all the exposed edges with the tissue tape around the plaque there and the base as well. And then we're going to take this paper pad from Tim Holtz. It's the 8x8 Halloween paper pad. I got it from Michael's. And my plan was to make like a girl like in a graveyard. So I wanted like some floral stuff, and I was going to put some flowers around her. It did not end up going in that direction, but that's why I chose the floral paper. So I just measured my plaque there and leaving like maybe like 1/8 of an inch around the edges, so you could see the design tape a little bit. And then once I put the paper down and I saw that orange on the other side, I decided that's what I wanted. So I'm just going to apply that with some Collage Podge matte all over the bottom and all over the top, because I wasn't sure what I was going to do on top of it. So I just wanted to make sure there was like a protective barrier. And also, forgive me, I have a cold. Go figure, when I'm doing a 13-day everyday video with voiceovers, I get a cold. But that's what happens when the kids go back to school. Not my kids, I don't have any. My niece and nephew. Well, my nephew went into kindergarten this year. So yeah, we're all sick thanks to him. So I'm going to also put some of that paper down the bottom. Now I did plan on putting something on top of it, so you're not really going to see it. But I don't know, I thought I'd add a little bit of an element. So I'm just going to measure out little pieces, and I don't care that it looks like a little sloppy. I'm going to make 2 long skinny pieces on the side and 2 on the front and back, and I don't care that you could see it in the middle, because like I said, I'm going to cover it up with something anyway. So then I wanted to make a little bit of a backdrop for my little creepy house here. So I'm taking some vellum and some Copic markers, and I'm just going to color my vellum with an orangey color. And I don't know if this is the easiest way to do it, but it's the way that I'm doing it. So I just put a little bit of tape runner all around the windows and doors of my house. And then I'm going to stick that on my vellum piece, and then I'm just going to carefully trim out around it. I thought it would be easier than cutting out little pieces and sticking them behind each window and door. Is it easier? I don't know, but it really didn't end up taking that much longer to do. And the vellum didn't buckle at all from using the alcohol markers. This is cheap vellum, so it tends to buckle if it gets the slightest bit of moisture, but it did okay. So then I'm happy with that, and I want to add a little bit of orange coloring to my chick's dress. And I've seen people do this with distress markers, but I don't have any. So I thought I'd use the alcohol markers as well. So I'm just coloring a little bit on my girl, and then I tried to blend it out with my finger and it didn't really work. It got really streaky. So I just took a little bit of alcohol blending fluid, squirted it out on my craft mat, and then dipped my finger in a little bit and then used my finger to spread out the color a little bit. I mean, it probably doesn't look as good as it could using some other method, but I was happy with it. And then I got like a little confident and decided I was gonna like darken up the folds of her dress. But it didn't really work out. It just all ended up looking the same color anyway. But, you know, whatever. So I have this gravestone from Tim Holtz, and I was looking for a name on the Halloween's clippings or seasonal clippings, and I found a guy's name, and I put that down, but it looked really stark. So first I tried to color it with my gray Copic markers, and it didn't show up at all. So then I took my Stabilo mark saw and scribbled it on my craft sheet, and then applied it to my tombstone, and then I put it straight on the tombstone, but the sticker got completely obliterated from the paintbrush and the water. So, and then I didn't have another guy's name on my sheet. If there is, I couldn't find it. So I had to go with the girl's name. So the story changed midway through. You know, it's going to be romantic. There's going to be flowers, and it was maybe going to be like her husband or something, but it's a chick's name. So maybe, I don't know, it's her friend. I don't know. At this point, the story will come together later for her in the tombstone. So I'm going to add some creepy cloth to the bottom. And this is just, I got this from the dollar store, and I just cut it up and use it in my crafts. So I'm just going to trim it to fit. I originally put a hole in the middle and slipped it over the top, but I didn't need to do that because it came apart anyway, and I could have just wrapped it around. And I'm just going to use my hot glue gun to adhere that down. And then I'm also going to use the hot glue to stick my tombstone down. I'm just trying to make sure that my girl fits there with the tombstone on the page. And then I'm going to make a little stencil of sorts. I have this little Studio G bat punch from the dollar spot at AC Moore, and I'm just punching out two little bats and then using that as a stencil with some Ranger texture paste. And in hindsight, I wish I would have colored them black before, or colored the texture paste black before I had applied it, but you know, hindsight and all that. So once I applied my bats all over, I remembered that I wanted like these little hands coming up from the tombstone or the front of the tombstone. So I'm going to cover them with black acrylic paint as well. And this is also a free cut file that I got online. I just searched creepy Halloween SVGs, free creepy Halloween SVGs, and a whole bunch of different stuff came up. And that's where I got the idea for the arms, because I saw them there and I wanted to incorporate them in a project. So I thought I was going to add these flowers, and so I'm coloring them with some gray inks. I honestly don't even know why I left this part in. But they don't end up making it to the end project. So my girl needed something to hold her up, because I didn't want her flat against the back, and I wanted her like to stand up a little. So I just went to my kitchen and grabbed the top of a box of hot tea and just cut little strips and stuck them to the back, and that's what's going to keep her standing up. And then I noticed that her hand looks like it's supposed to be leaning against something or holding something, which I didn't allow for. She wasn't close enough to the tombstone to be leaning on that. And I was like, what the heck am I going to do? And then I got a stroke of genius. And I decided to hack the heads off of one of the other paper dolls and put it in her hand like she's holding her head. So delightfully creepy. So I'm just going to cut a little slit in her hand so I can slip the other chick's head right up into her hand like she's holding her by the hair. And I really like the way it turned out. So this is a Tim Holtz ideology tag, and it says Bone Collector. And I'm just going to paint that with a little bit of gesso, and then I'm going to put that to the side to dry and take some acrylic glazing liquid and some of that Mars Black acrylic paint and make a glazing for my little bats there. And this is when I thought that I should have colored them black instead of going through all this, but I don't know, I like a glaze. So I'm just going to mix that up, and then I decided to add a little bit of white in there to make it not so black. And then I'm going to apply that over my bats and all over the whole thing, really. And then I didn't give it any time. I immediately wiped away, which I knew was wrong. You're supposed to let it sit for a little bit, and it's super damp and sticky at my house. So it didn't dry at all, so I had to reapply it, and this time I only applied it where the bats were. And then I also applied a little bit of that to my tombstone as well. And then I waited a couple minutes, and then I'm going to wipe it away with a baby wipe. And I really want the upper right and lower left corners to be to not get any more darker than they already are. So I'm really wiping that away, the glaze away from that, and concentrating on leaving it just over the bats. And then I'm going to color my little tag here with some Spiced Marmalade Distressed Crayon, and I'm just rubbing that over the top and then kind of like working it into the letters. And so this says the Bone Collector, and confession time, I love trashy TV, like reality shows. Now, that's not to say I don't like educational TV as well. I do love a documentary, which, by the way, the Ruth Bader Ginsburg documentary, new on Hulu, is freaking fantastic. Highly recommend. Anyway, but I love trashy reality TV. So I watched The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and the one chick, they call her the bone carrier because she's always taking information from one person and passing it on to the next. So as I was doing this, all I kept thinking in my head is her over and over saying, I am the bone carrier. I am the bone carrier. You know how you get something stuck in your head? It's so ridiculous, but yeah, so that's all I kept thinking of. So don't judge me for liking trashy reality TV, please. So anyway, I'm going to add a little bit of creepy cloth behind my banner there. And I also added a little bit of twine to the little edges. And so it looks like it's going to wrap around the back. And I'm just going to trim my creepy cloth a little bit. And then I'm going to add some hot glue dabs to the back to hold those strings in place. And then I also want my creepy house here to stand up a little bit from the background. I don't want it flat against the background, number one. It couldn't be flat because of the word band there. And I do want it to have a little bit of dimension. So I'm also going to add some of the little cardboard legs to the house as well. I don't know if there was a better way to do this, but this is the way that I figured out to do it. So then I'm just going to slip that in there and hot glue it to the ground. But that's when I realized I put the one cardboard leg on the wrong side. It was supposed to be on the other side, not the side that was sticking out. So I had to rip it up. And then I'm really hacking away at this creepy cloth here, but I really didn't want it to obscure my little house. So I had to cut some of those strings back. So I'm gonna stick that down with hot glue. I really struggled making this stick and stick up from the background. And I don't know what I could have done differently, honestly. I've never really done one of these assemblage pieces, so it was a little bit of a learning situation, and there's things I would definitely do differently. But it's cool. I like it. I'm definitely going to try another one before the season is over. So I put a little Tim Holtz pumpkin there with some hot glue, and then I'm going to put some of these Tim Holtz bones here because she is the bone collector. And I'm just going to lay them around there and secure them with some hot glue as well. And this is a super long video, 17 minutes, so my voice is like getting more and more strained, but I had so much fun making this and I had to get this out right away so I could share it with you guys because I'm so excited. Does that ever happen to you guys? You get so excited about something you have to share it immediately? Yeah, so I'm going through this collection of ephemera from Tim Holtz, trying to pick out little pieces that I could stick to the front of my piece. And then I remembered I wanted to stick those arms down, and so I just stuck them down with some wet glue this time so that I could have a little bit of wiggle room. With the hot glue, you stick it down, it's stuck, you don't have any wiggle room. So I used a little bit of clear tacky glue so I could move them around if I needed to. And then I took my little ephemera pieces, distressed them a little bit with some black soot distress ink, and then I'm going to stick that guy down with some hot glue, add a little bone there, and that's it. Still hacking away at this creepy cloth up here. But that is it for my piece. I love the way it turned out. I'm super happy about it. And yeah, that's it. So thank you for waiting patiently, hopefully, until I got this video out. Yeah. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye, guys.